chill, you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there, good to have you join us on CoreTV News on the hour. I am Gift Ogete. The police authorities have convened an emergency meeting with senior officers to appraise the overall security situation. Inspector General Mohammed Abubakar presided over the meeting that also has zonal AIGs and the command CPS in attendance. Police spokesman Frank Amba said in a statement that the IG urged senior officers to evolve new intelligence gathering and crime-fighting techniques and methodologies to suit their respective local challenges. He added that the Inspector General of Police also charged them to improve on their surveillance network and ensure high police visibility across the country. The police chiefs are also to commence early preparations for the 2015 general elections through conducting adequate threat analysis and intensifying capacity building for electoral policing best practices. The military authorities have again denied allegations of human rights abuse leveled against soldiers operating in the northeast. The Defense spokesman Major General Chris Olukolade says Nigerian troops waging war against insurgents have been operating in line with best international practices.
Accusations of human rights abuse will be investigated whenever it is believed to have occurred. And I must call your attention to the fact that this has become a stock in trade of organizations that have doubt about our ability to maintain integrity in our operations. But be sure that this remains a professional force. We are conducting our activities in the most professional manner, and we will stand by that, and until proved otherwise, we don't agree that these allegations hold until it can be proved. But the obligation we have is to investigate it, and when such allegations come, we do investigate them. Your other allegations are simply in the spirit of the other criticism that are, typical.
Members of the Bring Back Our Girls movement are demanding a more credible progress report on ongoing efforts to rescue hundreds of schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram from Chibok, Borno State in April. The group is also seeking a review of financing for security operations in the northeast. This was the thrust of a press briefing addressed by the Bring Back Our Girls campaigners to draw attention to the girls' 80th day in capacity.
Our movement is therefore making the following demands. 1. An accurate assessment of the effectiveness of the ongoing rescue operation and more credible communication of progress to the public by our federal government on its mission to bring back our girls without compromising sensitive operational information. They should include conveying substantive targets and milestones attained so far in the rescue operation. 2. Reassure Nigerians on the adequacy and effectiveness of the federal government's counterinsurgency strategy, especially in responding to the worsening security condition in Chibok and other parts of Borno State, where the federal government reported that it had deployed about 20,000 Nigerian soldiers early in May, as well as intensifying attention to the most vulnerable zones of the northeast and the rest of the country in that order. 3. Review of the financing of our security operations by the federal government and the National Assembly to ensure adequacy and value for money, especially with regard to A. Allocation of resources for adequate compensation and welfare of security personnel in the military and other security agencies. B. Equipment, weapons, intelligence tools and systems. And C. Basic support facilities.
The venue of the national conference was momentarily thrown into panic when a delegate suffered what was described as a cardiac arrest. Nia Kintola, a delegate from Oyo State, suddenly had a fit in the course of today's session. But the quick intervention by some nurses and security operatives ensured that he was stabilized. The delegate was later driven out to an unknown health facility. The clamor for state creation has pitched delegates against one another at the national conference. Some delegates claimed that it was wrong for the Committee on Political Restructuring and Forms of Government to recommend creation of one state for the southeast alone without anything for other zones. The committee approved criteria for the creation of states by saying that any new state sought to be created must be viable. In determining what is viable, the committee says such state must be economically viable or potentially economically viable, and it should have human, natural and material resources and should have a minimum land mass. The new state should, according to the committee, also have cultural and historical affinity, in addition to a minimum population of 1 million people. There were 34 requests for state creation before the committee, while a request was made to change the name of Adamawa State to Gongola State. A delegate who was a former Minister of Industry, Nike Okonde, canvassed the creation of another state from the present Oyo State. In his contribution, a former national chairman of the ruling People's Democratic Party, Amadu Ali, queries the rationale used by the committee to award a new state for the southeast. Another PDP stalwart, Olabode George, also called for the creation of Isaleko State from the present Lagos State. The Independent National Electoral Commission has denied allegations that the Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner Rufus Akeju has been removed. INEC spokesman Kayode Idowu said in a statement he was only requested to proceed on leave of absence for his own safety and to ensure the credibility of the forthcoming governorship election. He explained that the REC was asked to step aside against the backdrop of partisan acrimony over his person. INEC insists that Akeju, who has not been indicted for any offence and remains substantive president or resident electoral commissioner for Osun State, even though someone else would preside over the August election. The Nigerian authorities say Tuesday's explosion in Ife, Osun State, was neither caused by a bomb nor dynamite. This, according to coordinator of the National Information Center, Mike Omeri, as the outcome of investigations. Mike Omeri, DG National Orientation, speaks. We do apologize. We cannot bring you that up sound right now. Once we sort it out, we'll bring it to you. The Edo State House of Assembly has impeached the Deputy Speaker, Rufus Egba, on allegations of misconduct and misdemeanor. The 15 lawmakers, including the Speaker of the House, Uyi Igbe, endorsed the impeachment when it held plenary at an old chamber located at the Government House in Benin. Moving the motion for the impeachment, a member of the House, Foley Ogedengbe, representing Owan East 1, noted that the suspended Deputy Speaker was bound to be impeached, citing Section 92 2C of the 1999 Constitution and Section 72, Rule 19 of the Assembly. The lawmaker also elected a new Deputy Speaker, Victor Eduro, who took the oath of office immediately. The House explained that it had to hold sitting at the old chamber following ongoing renovation in the chambers located at the Anthony Enahoro Assembly Complex, which he linked to the forcible entry by the Deputy Speaker and some aides. The House has adjourned sitting to July 7th and says it will resume plenary in the old chamber. However, the impeached Deputy Speaker described the development as executive impunity and madness. The Adamawa State House of Assembly has described the Chief Judge of the state to constitute a 7-man has directed the Chief Judge of the state, I beg your pardon, to constitute a 7-man panel to investigate the act of gross misconduct leveled against Governor Murtala Nyako and his deputy Bala James Ngilari for 7 days. The resolution was adopted by 20 out of 25 lawmakers that resolved that Nyako and Ngilari be investigated by the panel to be constituted by the Chief Judge of the state with immediate effect. The proceedings of the panel are expected to be held in public and shall be conducted from the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day of the 7 days. The lawmakers adopted the panel of investigation rules of procedure of Adamawa State, which Fitiri said should include a chairman and a secretary and 5 others, and should adopt ordinary rules of fair hearing. Meanwhile, the Defense Counsel to Governor Murtala Nyako, Ayo Ankam, who held a brief for Kanu Akangbi, described the action of the Adamawa House of Assembly as a contempt of court, as the court had already restrained the House from carrying on the impeachment process. As the move to impeach Adamawa Governor Murtala Nyako and his deputy Bala Ngilari, a Lagos-based lawyer, Oke Nzeako, has condemned what he termed the move to impeach the governor illegally. He says the revelations, both by the legislators and the PDP elders, has shown that the impeachment is nothing but another sign of the selfishness of the average Nigerian politician. Oke Nzeako, who was on a visit to our Lagos station, said President has shown that this kind of impeachment will always be reversed by the court.
Their decision to go ahead, despite an order, a valid order of court, is illegal. The House of Assembly is embarking on a journey of illegality because an order of court has succinctly and definitely made it clear what procedure to follow. And such procedure is also as clearly spelled out in the Constitution on the way and manner, the process and procedure to remove a sitting chief executive of a state. And anything short of that will amount to a journey in futility. Because if they end up passing a vote of impeachment on Murtala Nyako, Murtala Nyako will simply go to court and upturn such impeachment. So they should save their own time and save the time of the people and do legislation instead of embarking on a journey of futility.
Contrary to claims by the Adamawa State government that the state's salaries account have been frozen by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the State House of Assembly says money is available for the payment of June salaries of workers and has called on the government to pay without delay.
The non-payment of June salaries in Adamawa State took center stage at plenary at the sitting of the House as a matter of public importance. Wafarni Theman, who presented the issue before the House, says it is worrying that 4 days into a new month, salaries for June are still unpaid.
In May 2014, worker salaries were deducted without reason. The House intervened with resolutions to no avail. Mr. Speaker, today is 4th of July. It is a tradition and a practice that salaries are normally paid 24th. With any delay, at least it doesn't exceed the end of the month. The salary for the month of June is unpaid as at this time as we speak. And naturally, civil servants and all citizens of Adamawa are worried. I want to call on all honorable members to look into this matter squarely. At any time, there's no reason why civil service should be put to stress. I believe it is the sole responsibility of this House to stand because we represent the good people of Adamawa State.
Lawmakers who spoke on the floor of the House decried the insensitivity of government to the plight of civil servants in the state.
This action is not fair to the people of Adamawa State, especially our Muslim brothers. It's not fair to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria because the Constitution first declares that the welfare of the citizens comes before any project or any other thing you can talk of.
I want to inform this House that on good authority,
The Assembly, however, says it will support the probe of the state's finances by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
The first one goes, if the House will not objection, that the state government should, without further delay, pay June salary immediately for the fact that the salary account and the running cost account has been opened by the Economic and Financial Crime Commission. Is that the decision of this House?
One of the 20-point allegations of gross misconduct leveled against Governor Nyako is the deliberate non-payment of 2 months' salaries.
The indefinite strike embarked upon by the Nigerian Medical Association is taking its toll on the sick people in Ekiti. Rashid visited the Federal Medical Center in Ekiti and filed in this situation report.
The Federal Medical Center in Ido-Ekiti is the largest medical facility in Ekiti State. On a normal day, the hospital is a beehive of activities. The nationwide strike by the Nigerian Medical Association has made the health facility a ghost of its former self. Only nurses are seen tending to patients. The doctors seem not comfortable with the presence of CoreTV News at the hospital.
Where are you from?
It's a TV NMA strike.
Okay.
And our designated people.
That was the designated person of people.
He will tell you. They are on strike now.
He will tell you. Your chief host will tell you.
The patients' lounge have been deserted. There are only few patients present in the wards. The hospital authority, however, says that they are doing their best to take care of those in critical condition.
Top management of this hospital decided that we should at least alleviate the problems of some of the very critically ill patients that we have around. To that effect, the management decided that the consultants who have patients in the wards who cannot actually cope at home, who cannot cope in any way at home, the consultants should come on daily basis and at least to update their treatment and see them.
Owing to the strategic importance of the Federal Medical Center in Ido, Okere said skeletal service will be offered by core doctors in the accident and emergency section only for stabilizing patients.
We only attend to a lot of accident cases, and for that reason, some of our copper doctors have been mandated to at least stay at the accident and emergency to avail accident victim.
Just minor, maybe see some few patients at the GOPD. The patients that are brought to accident and emergency just to stabilize and ensure that their lives are saved.
As polytechnic lecturers are fighting the government, it's the masses that bear the brunt. Now doctors are on nationwide strike. Who bears the brunt? The masses. The earlier the doctors come back to work, the better for the masses, which the government and the doctors claim they are serving. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ido-Ekiti.
The Federal Executive Council has approved a 5.6 billion naira contract for the completion of Mango Dam in Plateau State. Briefing newsman after the council meeting, Information Minister Labaran Mako, his water resources
for the Mango community, and the water supply scheme is supposed to not only support the people of Mango, but also about 10 other communities along with Mango. Overall, about 700,000 people benefit from this dam. So the Ministry of Water Resources, after terminating the contract for lack of performance, went back to BPP to procure the contract afresh for the completion of the Mango Regional Urban Water Supply Scheme.
Today, Council approved the award of contract for the completion of the Mango Dam, which is a component of the Mango Regional Water Supply Scheme. The initial contract for the dam was awarded in 2002, but not much was done. Only about 22% of the work was done after 22 months. And the contractor did not show seriousness in completing the work. The first contract for the construction of the dam is called Trans Project Nigeria Limited. And between when the contract was awarded and when they stopped work, about 1 billion naira had been paid to them. Specifically, the communities that will be benefiting from this contract, the water supply scheme, are Mangu, Gindri, Mangu Hale, Kadunun, Vondi, Panyam, Pushit, Amper, Mangun, and Langa.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is now removing drugs without approved authentication service code from pharmacies. This, according to the enforcement team, is part of efforts to check the sale of counterfeit drugs in the country. Pai Samuel witnessed one of the team's operations in Abuja.
The mobile authentication service was introduced by NAFDAC 2 years ago. The aim is for consumers to easily detect counterfeit drugs at the point of purchase. But years after its introduction, some drug manufacturers are still not complying with NAFDAC directive. This pharmaceutical store was a point of call for NAFDAC pharmacovigilance team to clear the store of drugs without the mobile authentication service code.
Even when products are registered and they're in the market, that people do at times counterfeit the products and also affix the NAFDAC numbers. So this mass code is a mobile technology-based system that we have brought to reinforce that securing of the products with the NAFDAC number, so that this mass code will now let the consumer know that this product is actually coming from that source that is stated on the package. And if the code is not there and it has a NAFDAC number, you may not know whether this is a counterfeited NAFDAC number or whether it's actually genuine. So they work hand in hand.
The NAFDAC official did not hold back as she ordered the manufacturers of these drugs to recall the drugs from circulation within 30 days.
Them 30 calendar days for them to ensure that the owners come forward, and then the owners themselves have 90 working days to ensure that these products are fixed with the mass code. The consumer at the point of purchase, when they purchase the product, before even they pay, they're supposed to scratch and send to the code that is there, the short code, and that will confirm whether it's actually coming from that particular source or not.
For now, NAFDAC has suspended the sale of these drugs on the grounds that they may not be healthy for human consumption. They can only be on the shelves when the mobile authentication service code is affixed on them. Pai Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Lagos State Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Transportation, Maria Masha, have enjoined transport and market operators in Oyingbo Motor Park to be law-abiding and cooperate with law enforcement officials to enhance safety. Motor area law was at the community outreach program organized by Law Enforcement Training Institute. Her report.
Religious leaders present spoke on the need to be law-abiding and to keep the environment clean.
We want free movement of vehicles and neat environment. At least what we see in Lagos now, you see Lagos is very, very neat.
The last mile, the Kai should love the citizens of Lagos State because they are prepared to be law-abiding. And everything should be done with carefulness, with respect to others and to elders.
The effort of government was commended on the sensitization by market operators who, like the proverbial Oliver Twist, asked the government to do more to ease their operations.
Lagos State government should do more for us is that about our market. It's not completed, it's not finished yet. Maybe they should try to help us to complete in time.
Speaking on the security situation in the country, Masha and religious leaders say vigilance and cooperation from Nigerians is key to having a safe environment.
The rule of law is the only thing that protects everybody.
and we should be law-abiding. We should make sure that our responsibilities are our responsibilities. We own up to them and we take them. We accept them and let those that are in the position of enforcing the laws do their job while we do ours. It's the only way that we can collectively move the state forward.
We should remember this Boko Haram, and that's why we are appealing to LASMA to be vigilant, to be vigilant, and people, market women, people in the garage, to come and cooperate with them. If we see what is happening in the north, the operational places in the north are places of worship, not even churches alone, but mosques, and then garages, and then marketplaces.
When there is laborliness, you take care of your environment and you'll be security conscious, so that when you are security conscious, you will be able to identify any discrepancy in the environment. If there's any problem, you can easily alert the security operative so that action will be taken immediately. Government officials say more of such sensitization programs will be organized until a transformation is achieved in the markets and motor parks of the state. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're watching CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Welcome back. You're still watching CoreTV News on the hour. At least 4 people have died when a cargo plane crashed into a building shortly after takeoff from the Kenya's capital's main airport, the busiest in East Africa. Kenya National Disaster Operations Center said all 4 had died in the crash and that 2 bodies have so far been recovered from the wreckage. The plane crashed before dawn, a time when the building was largely empty and no other casualties have been reported. An eyewitness at the scene said the plane had smashed into a low-rise building containing small stores and shops some 3 kilometers from the airport. The area around the airport includes a mix of both industrial zones and factories, as well as housing and shops. Airport Authority Security Chief Eric Kirath said the airport was briefly closed for a few minutes as a matter of procedure, but it has since been opened. And that's CoreTV News for this hour. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again. I am Gift Ogete.